Hello, welcome to American Baker in Germany. I'm Michelle, and today we are making a pumpkin pie from scratch in preparation for Thanksgiving this week. Let's get started.
First of all, our ingredients. We need an unbaked pie shell. I have a video up on how to make pie crust if you need help with that. I'll link it here. This recipe calls for 1 16-ounce can pumpkin. However, in the 10 years I've lived here, I've never seen canned pumpkin in Germany anywhere. And believe me, I've looked. So I will show you how to make it from an actual pumpkin. That's about 2 cups or 450 milliliters of boiled pureed pumpkin. I also need 2/3 a cup of sugar or 130 grams, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, half a teaspoon ginger, a half a teaspoon nutmeg, or if you want to be really lazy, you can use 2 teaspoons of pumpkin spice. In Germany, that's called Lebkuchengewürz. You need 3 eggs, 1 5-ounce can evaporated milk, which of course my daughter can't have, and lactose-free evaporated milk is basically impossible to find. I have never seen it. So what we use instead is cooking grade coconut milk, and that is 2/3 of a cup or 150 milliliters. And we need half a cup of regular milk or 110 milliliters. I'm using lactose-free milk, but you can use any kind you want. First, I'll show you how to prepare the pumpkin, and then we'll put everything else together. I take my pumpkin and cut it in half with a large knife. This pumpkin has more seeds than I expected. I remove the seeds and use my large knife to cut the pumpkin into pieces and remove the stems. I put the pumpkin pieces into a pot, cover them with water, and allow it to boil 5 to 10 minutes or until a fork doesn't have trouble poking into it. Once the pumpkin is finished boiling, I strain all the water out and cool them off by running them under cold water until I can touch them without burning myself. Then, taking a small paring knife, I cut the hard, darker outside skin off. I keep the softer inside. Then I mix it up with a hand mixer. You can also use a puree stick if you prefer. You end up with essentially exactly what you buy when you buy canned pumpkin. I took the time to measure how much pureed pumpkin I had. And it wasn't very much because of how small the baby pumpkin was. I only got just over a cup out of this pumpkin. However, I chose to stick with the recipe. You can make pumpkin pie with less pureed pumpkin. It will set up properly. It just won't taste very strongly of pumpkin. I decided just to mix everything up in the pot instead of getting another bowl. I added the sugar to the pumpkin puree. I began with slightly less sugar than the recipe calls for, hoping I could get away with less sugar. Then I added my spices and eggs. And mix it up. My coconut milk stuck together a bit, so I had to mix it up before I could measure it out and add it to my mixture. Finally, I added the milk to the mixture and mixed it up. I tasted the mixture and decided I really do need the rest of the sugar. I tasted it again and it was much better. At this point the mixture will be very liquidy. Then I carefully pour my mixture into the unbaked pie crust. I added just a few pie crust decorations. It didn't work that well. I carried it very carefully to the oven to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius for 45 to 55 minutes. This is immediately after it came out of the oven. The top should be browned a bit and it will rise some. As it cools, it will fall back down. This recipe is very classic and most people don't know how to make it without canned pumpkin, so it's nice to have a way to make it using an actual pumpkin. Next time, I'll use a larger pumpkin. Otherwise, it turned out perfectly. I hope it helps you make the perfect pumpkin pie for your Thanksgiving feast.